Our new QB1 finally spoke in front of the media. Let's get into some of our key takeaways and what we can expect from our new quarterback. What's going on, Jet fans? I'm your host, Julian Macasto, joined by my co-host, Nick Perry, and this is the Gangrene Report. If you're tuning in, hit that like button on your way in and subscribe if you're new to stay up to date on all of the latest on our beloved New York Jets. Let's get into the video, guys. Our new QB1 in Justin Fields finally spoke in front of the media, and we're going to dive into some of our key takeaways from this press conference. So the first and one of the many quotes that I really liked that he mentioned was he talked about reuniting with some of his former college teammates.
Your thoughts on being reunited with Garrett Wilson, and how can you guys both complement each other, make each other better?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Of course, we played together in college, and, when I saw him, it's really just like the old days. So I don't think our relationship skipped a beat. So, of course, I'm definitely excited to play with him, guys like Ruck and, Josh Myers. So I'm excited for that. And, of course, things that we can do to help get each other better, just, get back on the same page as we were in college. And, of course, communicate, make sure we're always on the same page when it comes to concepts and routes and, what he's doing in certain situations. But, yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back on the field with him for sure.
Justin Fields had a ton of success throwing the ball in college. I know he hasn't had the same level of success in the league, but he's shown strides and improvements year after year as a passer. And we'll get into more on him as a passer in the league in a second. That was one of the things he talked about. But one of the main reasons he was so successful in college was his relationship with guys like Garrett Wilson and Jeremy Ruckert. Now, although he hasn't had the greatest success, though, in his first 3 years in the league as a pass catcher, the hope is that he and his former teammates being at the helm, with Jeremy Ruckert, can finally get that rhythm that he's been lacking so far in the league. He made a ton of plays at Ohio State with Justin Fields in the past. So the hope is that they can, help each other in that department as well. And I also just can't wait to see if Justin can rekindle that star-studded connection with our wide receiver one and Garrett Wilson. As discussed in a previous video, we talked about it. Garrett has had he's had a lot of extreme success with a number of starting caliber quarterbacks, posting back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. The hope is that we can finally get to have that breakout year from Garrett, especially with one of his old buddies back there throwing him the ball. And let's face it, outside of Garrett, this team is really devoid of pass catchers that are proven at this level, at the caliber that Garrett Wilson provides. So he'll be more than likely getting the lion's share of the targets. So I'm happy about this reunion. Nick, what are your thoughts on the reunion so far here?
Yeah, I love the reunion so far. If he can, I think if Justin can get to the potential he was, or get to the talent that he was in college, and he definitely has the potential to be, no doubt, with those teammates, then we are in for a very special team with the new look Jets, I think. I also love the thought of the reunion, not only, as we always know, iron sharpens iron. So, I mean, not only Garrett, but like you said, I think Jeremy is huge. I think we brought him in. He was a phenomenal blocker and caught the ball as well. Obviously, Conklin's been there. But I think if they could all feed off of each other and hopefully get things going again, especially Jeremy. Let's not forget about Josh as well, his old center. Maybe he can get the spark back into him, as well as possibly just learn behind Tippmann. I know he's older, but you're never too old to learn behind guys and become a great center for us. God forbid Tippmann goes down. God forbid we move Tippmann over. I know we've made a video about this. Do we want to move Tippmann over? Not really. But, God forbid we did, having somebody with that reunion with Justin could make that switch a lot easier for him. So I think overall, just getting the kind of the band back together, as well as getting the other teammates on board with Justin as well, will be a great reunion so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. And that kind of leads a good, perfect segue into the next and our last real big takeaway from this. And that's Aaron Glenn's comments from the owners meeting regarding him coming in and essentially wanting him to essentially play the quarterback position. And I think right away, this is something that really hit me as a fan, and I really love this quote. So take a look at this quote.
Justin, when we were talking to Aaron Glenn last week in Florida at the owners meetings, he said that while you're a dynamic runner, their hope is to really develop you as a quarterback, to let you truly play the quarterback position, which he felt that maybe wasn't the case in your two previous stops. I'm wondering if you could speak to that and whether you feel like in the previous stops you didn't get a chance to fully play the quote unquote the position.
I mean, I think I was asked to, I did what I was asked to do, and I've never had a problem with that. I've always been a team player. I've always been, advocating on, putting, myself behind the team. So, like I said, I'm not really gonna get too much into depth on, what was happened in Chicago and what happened last year with Pittsburgh. But like I said, I'm grateful for all the experiences that I've had. I met a lot of great people there, built a lot of great relationships that'll last a lifetime. And, I think, of course, the more time you have in the league, the more experience you have. So, like I said, I think I'm progressing and getting better each and every year. So, like I said, I'm excited to get things rolling this year.
Overall, this was a great quote from our new QB1. I think he's taken an incredibly humble approach to his new position here in New York, but showed that he's also extremely confident in himself along his journey. I believe that he'll be someone that the Jets will really rally behind. And in my eyes, he'll be someone that the fan base can really easily root for. He wasn't a number 1 overall pick. He was first rounder, but not the first guy off the board. Hasn't had the easiest go about it in the league, but has shown flashes and has been steadily improving as a passer year in and year out. I think the identity of this team will certainly be to run the football here in 2025, given the state of our roster and where our new brass has come from in Detroit and how well they ran the ball the last couple of years. But I also think they're going to allow him to not only play to his strengths and be a reliable running threat, but help him continue to develop and be a successful passer here in New York by giving him more of an opportunity to air it out like he didn't have in other places. I also just appreciate the fact that he didn't throw his old teammates under the bus or throw any unnecessary shade to his old coaches or teammates. Assuming he plays all 17 games for us this year, I would like to see him north of 3,500 yards passing. I know that's a steep, lofty goal, but I really do think that he could potentially do that here and add another 700 to 800 yards on the ground, because although I want him to pass the ball well, I understand that his strengths are in his legs and that he's a dynamic player with big play ability on the ground. At worst, if it doesn't work out, we have our answer and we'll be looking for a quarterback in 2026. At best, we have our guy for the next several years. That's the hope, at least right now. But we still have to see him play for us in 2025. But I think that's what the plan inevitably will be this season for the Jets and Justin Fields. Nick, thoughts on Justin Fields being more of a quarterback in 2025 for us, and what are your expectations?
I think first off, I know we've talked about what we think his stats will be this year, and we always predicted that. But I think 3,500 yards, 800 yards on the ground, just from this video that we're talking about, is definitely doable for him. I think, like you said, he's taking amazing strides forward, and I think that will continue. I think the older he's getting, the more he's realizing what the NFL is and what kind of quarterback he needs to be. He can't just come right in out of Ohio State like he did and just plan on running the whole game. I think he's really progressing, and I like how he took, again, circling back, how he took that humble approach. Didn't throw anybody under the bus at all. Took the high road. Just as he said, he met a lot of great people who helped him develop his game, and I think that was great. I think overall, I'm just excited for him to be our quarterback. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times. I think it's going to be a great year for him. Expectations, the stats were just given, and hopefully he just lead us to some more wins this year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jet fans, how are we feeling about our new quarterback one and what he has said so far? Are you liking what you're hearing? Are we optimistic about him this year as a starting quarterback? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you haven't already, and go subscribe to the channel if you are new. And as always, guys, go Jets.